If you walk into a classical French kitchen, you will see a chef using a razor-sharp, curved blade to slice a cucumber with mathematical precision. Every slice is uniform, smooth, and clean. But if you cross the globe to a home kitchen in Beijing, you will see something else entirely. A cook takes a wide, heavy rectangular blade, raises it high, and smashes it flat against the cucumber, fracturing it into jagged, irregular shards. To a Western observer, this might look like kitchen violence. To a Chinese chef, it is the only correct way to prepare the dish. The way we cut vegetables is not just a matter of technique or aesthetic preference. It is a window into a deeper divergence, a history of resource scarcity, agricultural survival, and two fundamentally opposed philosophies of health and nature. To understand why this divergence exists, we must first look at the dining table. In the West, dinner is an active process of cutting. You sit down with a knife in one hand and a fork in the other. If a roasted carrot or a head of broccoli is served whole, it is not a problem. The work of preparation is shared between the chef and the diner, but in East Asia, the dining table is a place of peace. For over 2,000 years, the primary eating utensils have been chopsticks. This single cultural choice shifted the entire burden of cutting from the diner to the kitchen. Chopsticks cannot cut. They can only pinch, lift, and carry. Therefore, every vegetable that enters a Chinese kitchen must leave it in a form that can be easily picked up and eaten in a single bite. This constraint birthed a highly specialized tool, the Cai Dao, or Chinese vegetable cleaver. To the untrained eye, the Cai Dao looks like a meat cleaver. It is rectangular, wide, and heavy, but it is not a bone-crushing tool. The blade is remarkably thin and sharp, ground to a fine edge. It is a culinary multi-tool. A chef can use the tip for delicate scoring, the middle of the blade for rapid julienning, the flat side to smash aromatics, and the wide surface to scoop up a mountain of chopped vegetables and slide them directly into a hot pan. In contrast, the Western kitchen evolved towards specialization. The French brigade system relies on an array of specialized blades, the curved chef's knife for rocking cuts, the paring knife for peeling, and the serrated knife for bread. The Western chef slices, while the Chinese chef transforms. And this transformation is driven by a cooking vessel that defines the entire Eastern culinary landscape, the wok. The wok is a marvel of thermal engineering. Its thin carbon steel walls and spherical bottom are designed to concentrate heat at the very base. Cooking in a wok is a high-speed, high-heat race against time. It requires a technique known as stir-frying, or chow, where ingredients are constantly tossed through a zone of superheated air and vaporized oil. In this environment, a vegetable must cook in a matter of seconds, not minutes. If it stays in the wok too long, it loses its vibrant color, its crisp texture, and its nutritional value. This is where the physics of the cut becomes critical. If you slice a carrot into thick, round discs, as is common in Western stews, and throw them into a hot wok, you will end up with a disaster. The outside of the disc will burn before the heat can penetrate the dense core. To solve this, Chinese chefs developed the roll cut, or gundao kuai. To perform a roll cut, the chef makes a diagonal cut across the vegetable, rolls it 90 degrees, and makes another diagonal cut. This simple rotation creates irregular, wedge-shaped pieces with multiple sharp angles. This is not an aesthetic choice. It is thermodynamic optimization. The roll cut maximizes the surface area of the vegetable relative to its volume. The thin, tapered edges of the wedge absorb heat and seasonings instantly, while the thicker center remains protected, retaining its natural juices and crunch. It is the culinary equivalent of a radiator, designed to exchange heat as efficiently as possible. When these irregular wedges are tossed in a wok, they cook rapidly and unevenly in a controlled way. The edges sear and caramelize, grabbing onto the soy sauce, cornstarch, and aromatics, while the core remains al dente. In a single bite, you experience a contrast of textures, soft and savory on the outside, crisp and sweet on the inside. Now, consider the contrast in the West. Classical French cuts, like the bâtonnet, julienne, or brunoise, are exercises in geometric perfection. A bâtonnet is exactly 6 mm by 6 mm by 5 cm. To achieve this, the chef must square off the vegetable, trimming away the irregular outer layers. This uniformity is not just about visual elegance. It is designed for a completely different style of heat transfer. Western cooking traditionally relies on roasting, baking, boiling, or braising, methods that transfer heat slowly and evenly over long periods. In an oven or a stock pot, geometric uniformity ensures that every piece of vegetable reaches the exact same state of tenderness at the exact same moment. If the pieces were irregular, the smaller ones would dissolve into mush before the larger ones were cooked through. But the difference in cuts extends beyond heat transfer to the very cell structure of the vegetables. Let us return to the smashed cucumber. When a Western chef prepares a salad, they use a sharp chef's knife to slice cucumbers into clean, flat rounds. The sharp blade cuts cleanly through the plant cells, leaving a smooth, sealed surface. When you pour a vinaigrette over these slices, the dressing has nothing to cling to. It slides off the smooth surface and pools at the bottom of the bowl. When a Chinese chef smashes a cucumber with the flat of a Cai Dao, they are intentionally causing cellular trauma. The impact fractures the cucumber along its natural lines of weakness, tearing the cell walls rather than cutting them. This leaves a jagged, highly textured surface full of microscopic nooks, crannies, and crevices. When this smashed cucumber is tossed with black vinegar, soy sauce, and chili oil, these crevices act like tiny sponges, drawing the liquid deep into the flesh of the vegetable. The result is a dish where every bite is saturated with flavor, a feat that a clean knife cut could never achieve. This focus on cellular structure highlights a fundamental culinary concept in China known as kugan, or mouthfeel. In Western cuisine, texture is often secondary to flavor. Vegetables are typically cooked until they are soft, or served raw and crunchy. But in Chinese gastronomy, texture is a primary dimension of the dining experience. A vegetable can be described as kui, a specific type of crispness that is tender yet offers a clean snap, like fresh water chestnuts or quickly blanched bean sprouts. To achieve kui, the chef must balance the speed of the wok with the precision of the cut. If the cut is too thick, the vegetable remains raw and grassy. If it is too thin, it wilts and loses its snap. The cut is the dial that controls the texture, tuned specifically to the intense energy of the wok. In the West, where heat is applied gently over time, the texture of a vegetable is shaped by the duration of the cook, not the shape of the knife stroke. But this story is not just about culinary philosophy. If we dig deeper beneath the surface, we find that these techniques were born out of absolute necessity. They were solutions to two of the greatest challenges in human history: resource scarcity and public health. For much of its history, China faced a chronic shortage of fuel. Unlike Europe, which was blessed with vast forests and abundant wood for hearth fires, China's high population density and intensive agriculture led to severe deforestation. Fuel was expensive and scarce. A Chinese household could not afford to keep a fire burning for hours to roast a roast or simmer a stew. They had to cook with the absolute minimum amount of wood or charcoal. Stir-frying was the technological response to this crisis. By cutting vegetables into small, thin, or angled pieces, cooks minimized the cooking time to a few minutes, conserving precious fuel. The wok itself, with its thin walls, was designed to transfer heat instantly, requiring only a small, intense fire underneath. In contrast, European kitchens, with access to plentiful timber, could afford the luxury of heavy cast-iron pots, large ovens, and slow-roasted vegetables that cooked for hours. The second factor was sanitation. Historically, Chinese agriculture relied on a circular system where human waste, or night soil, was used as fertilizer. While this kept the soil fertile for millennia, it also meant that raw vegetables carried a high risk of transmitting pathogens. Eating a raw salad in pre-modern China was a public health hazard. Cooking was not just about flavor, it was a sterilization process. Every vegetable had to touch boiling water or hot oil before it could be safely consumed. This biological necessity explains why, even today, raw vegetables are virtually non-existent in traditional Chinese cuisine, and why cold dishes like smashed cucumbers are still dressed with antimicrobial ingredients like raw garlic and vinegar. This long history of sanitation also shaped the medicinal philosophy of food. Traditional Chinese medicine divides foods into yin or cooling and yang or warming. Raw vegetables are inherently yin, capable of dampening the digestive fire of the stomach. To prevent illness, they must be transformed by fire and balanced with yang aromatics like ginger and garlic. In the West, the relationship between food and health took a different path. The discovery of vitamins in the early 20th century, particularly heat-sensitive nutrients like vitamin C, led to a nutrition movement that valued raw foods. The salad became a symbol of health, a way to consume nature in its purest, most unaltered state. Ultimately, the way we cut a vegetable reflects how we view our place in the natural world. The Western approach values preservation. It seeks to present the vegetable in its raw, natural state, or to cut it into clean, geometric shapes that assert human order over nature. The Chinese approach values transformation. It accepts that nature in its raw state is hostile and indigestible, and uses the knife and the flame to refine it, making it harmonious with the human body. The next time you prepare a meal, look at the vegetable on your cutting board. The choice to slice it cleanly, to roll cut it, or to smash it flat is not just a recipe instruction. It is an echo of a choice made centuries ago, shaped by the availability of forests, the design of utensils, and the search for health. In every kitchen, the knife does not just prepare food, it carves out culture.